The next 2 pages show you what are called depository trust company lists. Some of you may have stock. If you own it, I suspect you own it through a brokerage firm, perhaps through a bank, but not in your own name, so that when you get information about it, it's coming from a bank or broker. The way that almost all the securities in the United States are held today, except for people who are probably 65 or 70 years and older, meaning they're sort of legacy shareholders, holding stocks in utilities and telephone companies. Most shares are held through banks and brokers. And these lists are real examples of what a debtor and what a balloting or claims agent will be seeing in terms of having to get material out to people. These are good representations. The first list is a debt list. You'll see if you look at this list, there are about 20-odd people on here, and you'll see that the ownership is incredibly concentrated into about 4 or 5 firms. So while there are 20 firms, there may be 60 or 70 owners of the securities. Most of them end up holding in a handful of firms. You can see that we actually put this material together a few months ago because Bear Stearns is still on this list. They're no longer holding anything, but this is very, very representative of the concentration of securities in debt issues. Now, if this was a healthy company, years before a filing, you might see a broader distribution of the debt. But as soon as a company gets into trouble, the debt starts moving out of the people who've held it, the price starts falling, and ultimately it's the hedge funds and other very, very sophisticated investors who are buying the securities. On the next page, the one with the larger number of names, this is a good representation of what a common holder list looks like. You'll see that there are a modest number of firms that have more than 1 million shares, but there are many, many, many different firms scattered throughout the United States who are holding securities. While the first list we looked at might represent 50 to 60 or 70 people, a list like this on the back can represent 5 or 10,000, and for bigger companies, it can represent 50, 100, or 200,000 beneficial owners. So sometimes you look at a case and a company will say to you, you'll say to the company, do you have common stock? They'll say yes. You'll say, how many shareholders do you have? They'll say, the transfer agent tells me I have 187 shareholders. Well, the answer is, you have 187 shareholders, but one of them is called Depository Trust Company, which is the party where all the banks and brokers hold their securities, and behind that account literally can be hundreds or tens of thousands of holders. So in understanding what's required in terms of getting noticing done and ultimately balloting done if common is going to vote, it's essential that you have some understanding of how securities are held.